I'm going to take a sip first. Would it be cool to have the ice clink in the background?
Hold on.
It's just you peeing.
That was ridiculous. Sorry.
There's no ice left in your cup.
There's no ice in there. Okay.
Welcome to episode 9 of the Not Salty podcast. This is the Deep Creek Lake area's self-proclaimed #1 podcast. I'm your host, John Bell, and as always, I'm joined by my good friends and co-host, Mike Fenton and Kristen Skeevers. In this episode, we talk to our friend, the ski legend, Mike Doble. We learn how Mike's love for skiing led him to start SkiSoutheast.com and ResortCams.com, which turned out to be the first TripAdvisor-type website for the Mid-Atlantic ski region. Mike schools us on snowmaking, and he explains how there is no such thing as fake snow. Then, he drops the bomb on us that he spends his summers eating bologna sandwiches on his 75-foot yacht. If you're into skiing, if you like drinking Blue Moon, you don't want to miss this one. And here we go. This is the week after. This is the first of the year. So,
Yeah.
First of all, Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Did everybody have a good Christmas? Good holiday?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm glad it's over. It's so much in a small period of time. I'm ready to get back to real life.
It is stressful. Don't get me wrong, I love Christmas. Christmas is great. New Year's is great, but it is stressful. There's so much going on. You've got normal work stuff and family stuff, and then when you got kids and buying presents, and I can't. My wife takes care of all that stuff. I kind of, I'm equally as surprised at when my kids open on Christmas morning as they are. It's kind of a
Me
joke
too.
around the house.
Right. Well, imagine being the wife, guys.
Yeah, I'm glad women exist. Thank you. I'm very feminist. Hey, so Kristen, did you get everything you want? So I'm leading into a question.
I have everything I've ever wanted in my life.
I got a new pillow.
Did you really?
Yeah, well, so Kristen and I on one of the previous shows, we were talking about pillows, and I'm very picky on pillows, or I don't know. We try to get the right pillows, and apparently we both have the same issues with them.
Tough.
So it hasn't come in yet, and nobody bought it for me. I actually bought it for myself, so it's supposed to get here on January 5th. I'll let you know, but it's called a Sutra Sleep Pillow.
My goodness.
I'll let you know how it goes.
Wow. I love Christmas
done.
gifts that you buy yourself. I have quite a few of those.
That's what Mandy and I did this year because we agreed not to buy any Christmas gifts, and she was like,
That's a horrible
"Hey, I
idea.
got
You still
some-"
need to buy her something, even if you agree with that.
Lesson
yeah.
learned this year.
Yeah, no.
Jesus.
Would you get married last week?
It's already out in the bag.
I also got you guys hats, but I forgot to bring them. I'll bring them to the next episode. My wife's dad is technically not Hawaiian, but he grew up in Hawaii. So we get to spend Christmas at my in-laws' house in Hawaii, which was pretty nice. And obviously, this is the Not Salty podcast. When you go to Hawaii, everything out there is about salty stuff. So I got you both salty crew hats, and I forgot to bring them. So Merry Christmas.
Yeah, thank
we
you.
just got you beer and hugs.
Beer and hugs.
I'm good with beers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, Mike, drop the hugs.
Hugs too. I'm good
For
with that.
showing up if you guys send me a hat.
There you go.
We have it on the do list.
We talk about it all the time.
There will be some not salty hats coming out real
Swag.
soon.
I'll get you some Ski Southeast hats.
Yeah,
All
we'll
right.
switch.
So
Yeah, there
we
you
are
go.
here today with Mike Doble. Mike, I'll kind of let you introduce yourself. Once again, we have a guest who is more experienced with podcasts than we are by far. And thank you for agreeing to do the show. If you have any pointers, let us know. We take criticism very positively.
I don't.
But to even introduce you, you are the owner of SkiSoutheast.com, SkiNC.com, and ResortCams.com, which our cam at the Wisp is hooked to
And the
your
Creamery.
website. And the Creamery are hooked to your website.
That's right.
So you have a pretty much lifelong career in skiing and promoting skiing.
Well, it wouldn't be lifelong because that means I will have been doing it for 70 years. But
When did you start skiing? Yeah, you got to start somewhere.
that's right. I started in my early 30s, moved up to Western North Carolina from Columbia, South Carolina. So I've certainly been doing it for half of my life, at least anyway. But yeah, love it. It's, Kristen's a skier. She's out at least, from what she was telling me, hitting the trails at least once a week. And,
Oh, yeah.
it gets its hooks in you, and it definitely got its hooks in me 35, 40 years ago. So
We find that I was trying to remember the other day. I don't remember the first time I went skiing. I maybe skied once or twice, and then I got into snowboarding. And then once I got into snowboarding, I was hooked. It was just all I wanted to do on the weekends.
yeah.
And you find that people who like it, it's a lifelong sport. So you have been to Wisp before. You've been up here before?
Oh yeah, several times.
All right. So I know all these resorts are your clients. Wisp is your favorite, right?
Wisp is definitely one of. Yeah, they certainly are. And that's not a political answer. It's true.
I was going to say that's very diplomatic. It's one of them. There's several.
Well, there's only 16 in southeast and mid-Atlantic, but you go up into Pennsylvania, there's a few more. But yeah, I mean, Wisp is, as I was telling you guys kind of in our informal off camera, a few moments ago, we were talking about it. It's very similar to where I am here in Avery and Watauga County, Western North Carolina. Garrett County is, hiking, biking, whitewater rafting, golf, skiing, you name it. And Myers is similar. So yeah, it's a favorite because of all those things. And certainly I love everything about it. Lori has been really good to me, and we try to get up there myself and my girls, my daughters, and my wife, and we love skiing at the Wisp for certain.
That's important to all the ski resorts. I was recently riding around with Mark Fisher, the Pacific Group, and we were just talking about ski resorts and everything. And we were talking about what do you do with a ski resort in the off season, and it's very important for these resort owners. You've got to draw tourism in the summer times too. And I forget what his quote was, but we were like, why is golf so important? Why are adventure sports so important in the summertime? And he's like, it's almost like adding another shift to your factory. Like if you think if you own a factory and you're running one shift, that's ski season. If you can figure out to run two shifts and have the summertime fun, that's adding another shift to your factory. And it was a great explanation on that. It kind of explains why if you're going to build a resort, you need to do it in an area where it's cold. You need to have mountains, and you also need to have off-season draw too, which Garrett County definitely has. And it sounds like the area where you live does too.
Yeah, you guys even more so. I say Garrett County is Western North Carolina boom, banner elk, blowing rock on steroids. Garrett County is a bit more grown up and out. And so our area is a bit more, when you come to this area, this is about the only thing you're going to want to do is hike, bike, whitewater rafting, whatever. It is interesting though, because what you were saying about mountains, what they can do outside of ski seasons, the one, I think major advantage and difference, that the Wisp has is, that I think they have more traffic in the summer, with Deep Creek Lake and the vacation rentals and all the other adventure things that are available to them than they do during the winter. And bear in mind, ski areas like Cataloochee and Maggie Valley or Beach Mountain in Western North Carolina, Sugar Mountain, even Massanutten in Virginia, there are really only three seasons. There's the fall leaf gawkers, obviously, and that's why resort cams is so popular. And then there's the ski season. And then, if you're lucky, you get a good summer, but summers are pretty short, on the mountaintops, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Summer. Well, we like summer. So I worked at Wisp for 5 years, and it's amazing. In the winter, people would come. So I worked at the Mountain Coaster. What's up, Coaster Crew? And people that would come in the winter were stunned that the resort was open in the summer. They were like, I can't believe you run this in the winter. And it's like, yeah, well, we're open year round. And they're like, you're open in the summer? And it's like, yeah.
I mean,
it's
the
amazing.
Statistics. Kristen, you might know this better
No,
than I do.
I don't.
But I just a guess our winter tourism and summer tourism here are about the same.
I think
It's just,
they're pretty dead even.
What we notice is in the winter, people are here for shorter
3
durations.
days.
Yeah, like in the summer times when family come here to go to the lake, the kids are out of school, they stay all week. We notice in the winter time, people are here Friday, Saturday, and go home Sunday.
Yeah, on the weekends driving around, it feels like summer. Like,
Oh,
as far
yeah,
as
it was
traffic
busy,
and stuff.
yeah.
which is great because if you're a skier and you can work your work schedule around it, the best days in the world to go skiing are weekdays.
Oh,
right?
100%.
So your true skiers get to know the schedule.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So how did
No
you,
question.
when did you open your website, skisoutheast.com? When did you start that?
1995 was the first season that we did at that time, what was pretty much exclusively covering the 4 major North Carolina ski resorts. And then I mentioned Joe Stevens earlier. Joe is he does a column every week called "Snow News is Good News," and he's
cool.
a really good marketing guy. If you're ever going to open up a ski area anywhere, not just in the Southeast and Mid Atlantic, but anywhere, you'd want Joe to jump in and kind of be your mouth. He'll get out there and promote it. He's all over. Jim Cantori and Paul Goodlow and all the guys at the Weather Channel and Murgo, up in Pennsylvania, et cetera. So to make a long story short, I started it then and then branched out to covering all the Southeast and Mid-Atlantic. That's how I got hooked up with Lori and the WISP, and been doing it ever since. And, we've grown it to last year, year round. Of course, resort cams is certainly even if the ski resorts aren't open, resort cams are live and running. We have them at lakes, we have them in marinas, we have them all over. But between resort cams and Ski Southeast, we have about 27 million unique visitor sessions a year. Yep, 82 million page views. So it's really grown. That website, of course, now it's branched off. We do weather, as you know, Brad Panovich, and we've got 110 meteorologists that use the live cameras, and pretty much every television station that you're familiar with and that you're not familiar with. And of course, the Weather Channel picks them up and pushes them out, not only on their national network, but on Facebook, pops live as well. So.
Well, we've had about 1,000 listeners, so if you want to put a plug on your website for us, we'd be all for it.
We'll go from 1,000 to 27 million.
Make sure, in fact, I'll tell you, make sure I get a copy of the podcast. I'll pop it up live and put it on there. Let people listen to it.
It's coming.
Listen, if we didn't have webcams with the resort cams, we would after that.
Well, Kristen, you definitely know this. I believe our webcam spot on our website is our most hit page.
It's one of our top 5. Yeah.
So what do people log on to see what's going on, or they just want to see
Well, both. So I mean, the way that we use webcams as a company, so we have a webcam that faces WISP. What I really liked about resort cams was, when we said we want 2 webcams, they looked at WISP and they said you should do these couple views. So the webcam jumps from full out to zoomed in, and then it pans from Squirrel Cage and Face to the terrain park to the tubing park, and then you get a little shot of McHenry Cove, and then it zooms back out. So it's really cool. So if you're watching it, it moves, so you know that stuff is happening. And the one at the Creamery is the same. It pans left to right, so you get a sense of movement, and you can see stuff moving
all year round, right?
All year round.
So, Mike,
and everybody's a skeptic. You know what I mean? If you're sitting in Washington D.C. and it's raining, and you look at our website and we're like, "Hey, it's snowy, come on up." They're like, "When was that picture taken?" Well, if you log on the webcam, you know exactly what it is. So they do a big play. I'll notice myself. I'll be at home sometimes and I log on to it, or it never fails if I'm out of town and somebody talks about the lake. I look at the one at the Creamery and show it to them. I don't know why people just like webcams.
Yeah. I
will tell you to kind of piggyback on what you guys were saying. Back in the day when we first started Ski Southeast and started broadcasting, and resort cams was not an entity of it in and of itself quite yet. But when we first started it, the reason that I was inspired to do it, and it was funny too, because in the beginning I kind of had a love-hate relationship with the ski areas. They had a love-hate relationship with me, mainly because on our website we were promoting no bull ski reports.
Right.
We were saying, don't listen when you call up at XYZ resort when the person that answers the phone says, "Come on up, the skiing's fine," and you drive 5 hours to get there only to find mud and rocks, to screw up your skis. That was a commonplace thing. And so when we started getting the idea of no bull ski reports, and then finally figured out, wow, we could show these bad boys live, and started kind of growing that side of things. Man, it made a difference. And even the biggest complainers, and I won't name names right now, but out there with the ski areas, the people who said, "Please don't shine these cameras at us on a foggy day. Don't broadcast it when it's pouring rain. Don't show it when you see mud-colored snow out there. Don't show that." The biggest complainers became the biggest proponents of resort cams, because they finally figured out that more people will log on and make short notice skier visits.
Sure.
Because now they could look 3 days ahead and go, damn, man, it's been 70 degrees here where I live, but there's snow on those bad boys, and they'll take off and go. So that's the biggest reason we kind of did it. And obviously it's turned out pretty well.
It's a lot like TripAdvisor for us. Like the vacation rental industry, when TripAdvisor came out, we were nervous, because you can get on there and say what you want to say about it. And obviously, every day is not sunny. Every day is not perfect snow conditions. And we were nervous about TripAdvisor. But you're right. It helps people realize that it's real. Like, nobody's perfect. If you log on to a website and it is always sunny and this house is always perfect, probably it's not true. But the resort camps actually show you the real deal.
Right.
Yeah.
There are 4 or 5 ski areas in our region that routinely on Facebook feeds and on their website will show the most pristine, most beautiful powder being flipped up in the air by a skier or snowboarder every single day of the ski season. And as you guys just said, man, that's not reality.
Yeah.
It's not always pristine. It's not always perfect. But the good news is, because of snowmaking quality and capabilities, and every single skier, including the Wisp and of course, the sister resort Wintergreen, in Virginia, they have invested millions and millions of dollars on snowmaking equipment and the crews, and how to farm snow now. They make these big whales of snow, and they can push them around. They can go grab snow just prior to this Friday. They can grab snow from different places around the mountain up there and push it around. And so because of that, the web cameras can show more of a, here's a realistic view. If you're thinking about coming, I got an email today from a guy who signed up and says, when is Brad Panovich going to give his next drop for the skiers forecast video? Because he's thinking about riding up and going to snowshoe this coming weekend. And I just told him, I said, it's always Wednesdays or Thursdays, because he doesn't want to get too close to the weekend and blow it. But make a long story short, yeah, I mean, it's definitely helped people, I think, plan those last moment trips. And I think you even said winter traffic, you get these 2 and 3 night stays, other than the holiday week, Christmas to New Year's. But you have MLK, you have President's Weekend, outside of the Christmas to New Year's week, which a lot of people don't know this, but with the and of course, I guess you guys do because of Rayleigh. But man, 50 to 55% of the skier visits that hit Wisp and hit every ski area in the region, 50 some odd percent of that traffic is that Christmas to New Year's crowd. And then you throw in President's Day 3 or 4 day, 3 night weekend. Same thing with MLK. If you hit those 3 holiday periods and we have pristine weather for those, the bean counters and accountants at all the ski areas are happy.
Very happy.
Yep.
So you are our first guest that's not here live. So thank you for joining us on what are you on Zoom?
We're on Zoom, yeah.
On Zoom. The audio sounds great.
Very
and,
2020 of us.
You were kind of our guinea pig, so it worked out. And I guess where I'm heading is kind of a tradition. When we first get here, we always have a beer first and kind of talk and get everybody loosened up.
Got it. Yep.
We did that virtually with you. I noticed you have a Blue Moon in your hand, which is kind of known as a skier's drink. I think every ski bar you go to in the world has Blue Moon. And in that warm-up interview, we were talking about snowmaking, and snowmaking is very important. We were goofing around about, if you're going to get in a business where you bet on Mother Nature, that's a very risky business. Mother Nature is a finicky beast, and it might be cold or it might be sunny, or Mother Nature's going to do what she wants to do. And that led into a conversation about the Wisp's snowmaking capabilities. And you kind of picked on us a little bit, which was funny. We said it was, I forget what we said, fake snow or blow snow.
Blowing snow.
And you corrected us. It's not actually blowing snow. Give us your little story on that.
Yeah, well, the short version is after a good natural snowfall that God lays down, sometimes there's good heavy wind. So there is such a thing as blowing snow. But ski areas don't blow snow. Cocaine dealers do. Ski resorts make snow.
There was a joke I was looking for. I needed to bring that back into the podcast.
But no, ski areas, they manufacture snow, they make snow. And another misnomer is that it's fake snow or it's artificial snow. Fake snow and artificial snow is that stuff you can buy from Walmart in the plastic bags that you can throw on your Christmas tree or under the Christmas tree. This stuff's real. They blast it with, very fine granular nozzles on these fan guns, and they throw it up in the air. And if it's cold enough, it lands as snow. And the reason it's a bit stickier is they haven't quite gotten as good at it as the man upstairs. So it's still, now I will tell you, during that week or so that we had the temperatures that we did, Wisp, I looked a couple of times, it was like minus 13, minus 14 degrees. And when you have that kind of temperature, the champagne type snow that snowmakers make at Wisp and all the other ski areas, man, it's equivalent to powder out west. We just don't get that 14 degrees below zero a hell of a lot. So the snow tends to be a bit stickier, that's for sure.
It is something to talk about. Most people call it fake snow, but it is not.
Yeah.
It is real snow. It's just man-made snow.
Yeah.
Yep.
I asked the question before we started about it's sticky, because when the snow guns are running and you're going down Squirrel Cage, the snow's a little sticky.
Sure.
And like you're going really fast and then you're not. Like you get stuck in it.
And it can do a Charlie Brown routine.
Yeah.
It turns greens to
say
blues really fast.
That's why the snowmaking crews are made up of snowmakers and then the groomers. And because these guys come in behind that and they can lay down some amazing corduroy, and they can take mashed potatoes that happen one afternoon on a warm day, and the very next morning you've got 38 or 40 degrees. They can make that to some phenomenal skiing surface for sure.
And these are legit jobs, like legit, very risky.
Yeah.
Like I've never done it. I'd really like to. Maybe they'll invite us to do it. But riding the Snowcat up a green slope would be one thing to groom it. I've always wondered what it's like to ride that Snowcat up face. Like it's got to be fairly intimidating.
I have a friend that's a snowmaker. He was on the coaster crew with me. But he'll send me snaps all the time at night of them making snow.
Yeah.
And in the Snowcat and everything like that. And just huge shout out to all the groomers, because
And it's 2 a.m. It's -2. It's dark.
It's all overnight. They're so underappreciated. And I'm super guilty. Like, why the heck hasn't Squirrel Cage been groomed yet? I hate those whalebacks and those moguls.
Well,
but
I will tell you.
There's a rhyme and reason.
Yeah, I will tell you that their job is, they're working hard when we're sleeping, no question about that. But man, they've got some fantastic stereo systems in those cats. And they are warm and they are dry and they are loving life when they're driving up and down that mountain.
Send this podcast to your friend and listen to it while he's grooming.
Yeah, I would give you a little hint though, because of this show that you guys are doing. Take advantage of it. Pick up the phone and buzz them and just tell them you'd like to do a feature. And trust me, you'll have a ride. I've ridden Snowcats at most of the ski resorts in the region. And there is nothing like, you mentioned Shay's Revenge earlier. There is nothing like you ride, and I don't know how to do it except up here in the air, but you're riding along on a groomer, horizontal. And then the next thing you know, man, the front end of that bad boy just noses down because you're all of a sudden going down the face, or you're going down gravity or some other trail. And there is no feeling like that weightlessness feeling of all of a sudden you're going, am I going to make it? But thankfully, they have tank tracks under those bad boys, so they're really good.
You keep telling yourself, I'm not the first person to do this. I'm not the first person that's going to be okay.
Right.
That would be cool. Maybe we could do a show while we're in a Snowcat.
Ooh,
I'll never forget the first time I saw one. It was at nighttime
just be a bunch of bad
at the
words.
Wisp, and I look up and Colin over at National
Yeah.
Empire he's like, you know what that is? I'm like, I have no idea what that is.
You're like, I'm from Jersey. What is this?
It's flat in New Jersey.
The first time that I went to Wisp, wasn't long into doing the website, so I was kind of a novice at it a little bit. But at the hotel, at the Wisp Hotel, we were put up in a room that was facing Squirrel Cage. We were right there. And I got up early. I'm always up early doing the snow report. But anyway, I got up early and zipped open the windows. And I'd never seen this before, but Wisp is really cool about it. They've got equipment like crazy. They had 4 groomers in tandem, kind of one behind the other, behind the other, behind the other, coming down Squirrel Cage. And I'd never seen that before. So try to get them to treat you, because they will. They love taking
We
people
could
on
all
rides.
have our own Snowcat.
Yes.
And we can race.
And there is a lot of
They
science
might not
and
do the
engineering
race.
behind it. There's a ton of science and engineering behind it. I was thinking when you were saying that, my first trip to the Wisp would have been, I was in the Boy Scouts when we came up here, and it was probably early 90s. And I don't know, I remember it being nice. But if you take early 90s through 2023, the technology just come so far. Like I remember, just remember as a kid, like the early 90s snow guns were these round things that had a hose plugged into them and they blew snow. And now there's a huge science behind this. The reason they make the whalebacks is, you guys probably understand it better than I do, to, like you said, farm the snow and push it around the mountain. It's there's a lot of science, a lot of money involved, and the WISP is very good at it.
Well, that's what Steve Green was talking about with the whalebacks.
Yeah.
They let them sit so that the water, I guess, sinks and it makes better snow, right? And then they push the
You'll
top
notice
layer
sometimes they'll last up into April. Like you'll notice like on a big snow mountain up there on a big whaleback, it'll be the very beginning of April. Like, oh, I still see a little bit of snow.
All right.
Yeah, one thing that a lot of people don't know too is that ski resorts never ever close. Well, shouldn't say that. Rarely do they ever close because of a lack of snow. They close because of a lack of skier interest. So they do. You're right. They have snow on the slopes up until May and June at some of the higher elevations because that snow's been packed. And as you said, there's some wells around the mountain or whatever. But yeah, a lot of times there'll be snow on in. And they could easily ski if the skier interest was there at WISP and all the skiers in West Virginia, Tennessee, and North Carolina, even into Pennsylvania to some degree. A lot of people don't know, but we have a lot higher elevations here than you guys do up at WISP.
Yeah.
Here in Western North Carolina, we're over 5,500 feet.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know
That's
that.
2,000 more than our highest point, and I think the top of WISP is only 2,900.
Is that running through? Is that running through the Appalachian Trail area? Is that because I know there's a high point there, right?
Yeah, the App Trail, of course, over towards Mount Mitchell. You're right. There's even higher. It goes up to over 6,100 feet, I think.
Dang.
The top of the beach is 5,506 feet, and they have about a 1,200 foot vertical. Snowshoe is at 48. I know this because I've been doing it forever, but snowshoe is 4,848 feet, and they have a vertical of 1,400 feet from top to the bottom of Cup. So there's some good vertical around here. A lot of people don't know it, but man, if the skier interest was there, you could keep skiing until the end of April at most of the skiers. I'd say half of the ski areas in the region could ski all the way to the end of April if there were skier interest. It's just hard when the weather turns 70 and people thinking spring cleaning and now it's time to start getting the jet ski ready or go hit the golf course. Hard to convince people to go ski.
See, but Mother Nature tricks you. It's never time yet. You always think that. Like it's one of my favorite and least favorite days of the year, and it always happens. There'll be a day in the springtime when it's nice outside, there's still snow, and you snowboard in a short sleeve t-shirt and you get a sunburn and it's awesome, right? And you're like, oh, this is great. Then the next day you think, I'm going to put the jet ski in. Yeah, and then it snows for 3 more weeks and the resort's closed.
First year I moved here, we had snow in June.
Yeah, there you go.
So
Was that 2018?
2016.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
2018, we had those 4, and I only know this because I was in Hawaii. My first time visiting my sister. She's stationed in Pearl Harbor. Shout out people in the Navy. And I was in Hawaii during the first nor'easter, and it was March through April, and we had 4 in a row every single weekend. And I think WISP had already closed because they normally close at the end of March. And we had these crazy winter nor'easters through the whole month of April, and it would have been insane skiing. But it's hard to staff a mountain when you plan.
Yeah.
You plan for December, January, February, March. You don't plan for April. So, I mean, it is really hard for them, even if you had the skier interest, to extend it just because of staffing.
Well, they bring a lot of staff in from out of the area too, right?
Yeah,
to help,
that too. Yeah.
And once
but,
they leave, what are you gonna do?
Every couple of years, there's an April that's like,
But how do you bet on that? Mike,
Exactly.
you said,
you cannot know.
You can't.
Mike, you said you actually have meteorologists on your staff that put stuff on the website. These are highly educated, probably the best trained people in the world for it. They don't know. Like, how are you supposed to guess? Like, there's no way to guess.
Well, from what I'm understanding, talking to Brad, because he's chief meteorologist with NBC News Channel 6 out of Charlotte, they have a listener base of like 10 million people. He tells me that secretly, honestly, even though he went to the University of Ohio for meteorology, that they actually go in a back room. They've got a pretty cool dartboard. And they just throw darts at it. And whatever hits, that's what they talk about.
I thought it'd be like
But
a magic
seriously,
8-ball. Shake it.
Yeah.
No snow.
If Brad listens to this, he's going to be very angry at me.
Well, Mike's
But no, I say it all the time. I've written about it a lot. Anybody who owns or manages a ski resort man, comparing to riverboat gamblers, I mean, they really are. There's people like I don't know if you're familiar with the name Chip Perfect, but he's the guy who he owns a ski resort out in Ohio called Perfect Slopes.
Is that his real name? Like that's his birth name?
His name is Chip Perfect. He is Mr. Perfect.
That is a cool name. Good for him.
He really is Mr. Perfect. His daughter Paige and Mr. Perfect, they manage and run Timberline Resort over in Canaan Valley, Davis, West Virginia. But anyway,
they're the people who just bought it recently. They're the new owners of Timberline.
They're the new owners of Timberline. Yeah.
Wow.
So they ran a ski resort in Ohio, saw that Timberline was up for sale and in a bad way, and jumped in. But I mean, if you look at just the previous year, Timberline had a chairlift collapse with people on it.
Yeah.
They had all sorts of lawsuits because of water pipes bursting everywhere. To come in and invest the kind of millions of dollars that Chip and the Perfect family have done, they're very much like riverboat gamblers. But the same could be said for all the management teams at Snowshoe, Canaan, Timberline, all over. Winter Place is under a new general manager this year. His name is Josh Faber, and he's come in with a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of passion. But man, it takes that, and then it just takes sheer luck or lots of prayer and fortune, because again, man, it's just like tossing the dice. I mean, you sometimes going to get it right and sometimes you're not.
Mr. Perfect, we're coming. I had planned on making a Timberline last year and I didn't make it. It is on the to-do list this year. The three of us should go. I want to go so bad.
Hit Whitegrass too.
I've heard about we hit Whitegrass on the way down there and do some of the boring cross country skiing.
Whitegrass is pretty good. They had 5 inches of snow on the ground. I was there this past week. And they still had 5 inches of natural on the ground, and it was in really good shape. Of course, like I said, the slopes were awesome. When you go there, pencil this one down. You need to ski on the slope called Twister.
Yes,
it's about a mile.
Yeah, I've been on it. Yeah.
Wait, at Whitegrass, Twister?
No, at Timberline.
Oh, okay.
Timberline. What were you saying, Kristen?
I said, I went to Timberline for the first time last year, and my sister and I did every single slope, and I really like Twister. It goes around the side, right? It's a blue to the left. Yep.
So you did Thunderstruck?
Yeah. So we did everything.
He's a lot better than she gives herself credit for.
I know. So there's 2 double blacks, and I'm blanking right now. One was moguls, which is not my forte at this point in my ski career. The other was groomed, and it was freaking awesome. But we did both. We did everything at least 2 times, because Timberline is like the perfect size where you can do everything more than once. Like, you have plenty of time. It's a smaller resort, but the terrain is freaking awesome. And we went in February. No, we probably went in January. And it was awesome. Like, the lodge is super cool. It's so amazing what they did with Timberline. And what I heard so many local people say when Timberline shut down was that is the best natural terrain around. It's such a shame. So I think it's so cool that they reopened. That was my first experience, was last year, and I had an absolute blast. The high-speed lift is like clutch. Love it.
I grew up skiing at Timberline.
Remark on that real quick, because a lot of the ski areas, I think the next big investment that you're going to see ski areas do, because it's, snowmaking equipment's always going to happen every year. They're going to, put more in. They're going to buy more piston bullies, every time that they buy a new piston bully, it's 65 to 90 grand. So just think about the investment there.
Wisp just bought a new one this year.
What is that? I don't know what it is.
It's a groomer.
It's a groomer.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like the brand. It's like a Lexus.
Okay, so again, when you complain about ticket prices, they're expensive for a reason,
right?
Well, that and that riverboat, there's a lot of times where some seasons just don't tally up quite like others. I just mentioned this real quick though with that investment. I think the next big investment you're going to see with ski areas is what about a quarter of them already have done. And that is the RFID pass system, where you've got the card in your jacket. You just walk through, the gates open. They also have automated
those
gates.
Those things are great. You just go right through. It's so nice.
Yeah, and they also have automated gates. So as soon as you step, nobody's having to scan or look at your ticket, or you're just on and in. This past week, what would you guess the wait time at Wisp was at the bottom of the mountain at the busiest peak of Christmas week? What do you think the wait line might have been?
At least 45 minutes.
I have no
All right.
idea.
So I skied 5 days at Timberline from the 26th through the 31st. I turned in 34 miles of skiing. I skied 42,000 feet of vertical. And I did that because the longest wait line I ever saw at Wisp during those 5 days was an 8-minute wait at the bottom of the mountain. 3 out of the 5 days that I skied right up to the chair and got on. I never had a lift line. So those RFID systems and those automated gates is a way for them to speed up. They don't have to scan a ticket 2 or 3 times to see if it's valid and let people through. So that's going to be your next big investment that you'll probably see. But I got to ask real quick, because Kristen, you were talking about skiing and everything. So you skied off the wall and the drop?
Yeah. So one of them wasn't, gosh, I have pictures. I'd have to pull my phone out. Yeah, I did both.
Pictures or I won't believe it.
No, I know. I do. Oh, trust me.
She's got selfies coming down the mountain.
I have pictures. Whichever one.
Well, hold on a second. I keep asking for photos out there on the slope.
I know, this was last year.
Hold on. I keep getting these obligatory looking off the chairlift over. I want people in them. Smile.
I'm too shy for that. But let me find some pictures and I'll let you know which one. The first one to the left was moguls and then the next one was groomed. So I want to say over the edge was groomed. No, that's that's Wispa slope. Okay, hold on.
It's off the wall.
Off the wall.
While you're pulling that up, Wisp has that RFP thing that you're talking
RFID.
about. RFID. Like, and it's super cool. Like, there's a pocket in my jacket. You put that right in it. You walk right through. And I didn't know where you're going that, Mike, but used to, 10 years ago, on a big holiday, there was a line all the way down at the bottom of Squirrel Cage where you'd stand for 45 minutes and whatever. You're right. I didn't think it has really sped that up.
So
Nowadays,
nice.
You're in line for 5 or 10 minutes max on a busy day.
I actually went out west,
when
though.
When you combine the RFID with the automated gates,
absolutely.
when you combine them both, man, you barely need lift operators. And one of the things you guys were talking about a while ago too, with staff, is every industry is having trouble right now hiring people. People that just not the level of people out there wanting jobs. And then the J1 workers, the international workers, as you say, they pull people from outside of the region. Because of COVID, that didn't crank back up until just last year.
All right, I have my answers. Yep, the drop was groomed and off the wall was not. So, just for Mike's purposes.
Here.
We'll send them to you.
Oh, no, I see it.
I'm there at the drop.
Now, hold on.
Were you smiling? Were you smiling?
So were you just standing there by the side and then you skied around and went down Salamander or what?
Yeah. I just got right to Salamander. No, we did both. My sister is, she's a level 2 ski instructor certified.
What? Nice.
She's incredible. She does all the backcountry. She lived outside of Seattle and she's done like these crazy like backcountry experiences. So she's my older sister. So she makes me do stuff I don't want to do all the time.
Very good.
And that includes skiing double black. So when we were out west, she was like, you're going to do this slope and we will tap our poles together and she makes me go down it. So when we were at Timberline and that one was all moguls, I was like, mm-mm. And she's like,
yeah, what's so cool is about off the wall where you were talking about the double black, literally you can walk 25 yards to the top of Salamander. And it's very similar to the hardcore greens that if you're facing the mountain at the Wisp, off to the right, that they added a few years back, those greens some of them are hard to ski because you don't have enough speed to make it through the flats. You almost have to cross country.
And they're kind of narrow. I mean, I think
that
that's
stinks on a snowboard.
I can imagine.
It is, you're right.
That's why
it's very similar to that.
You got to get the speed up.
That's why. That is why you ski.
I don't know. Well, so you just started. I'll get my timeline mixed up. Kristen, 2 or 3 years ago, 4 years ago, you were going on a ski trip with your sister.
Yep.
And you just started skiing 3 or 4 years ago?
Well, so I skied a ton as a kid. Like as anybody that grows up in a ski town, my parents taught me when I was like 5. But I didn't learn a lot of technique.
Yeah.
So I grew up skiing. I bombed every hill. I just went super fast. I just went with my friends a bunch. My parents just dropped me off. That's when Brenda's Pizza was in the lodge at Wisp. And I had 2 slices of pizza for like dinner. And anyway, so then I took a break as I was in high school. I moved away and I came back when I was in college. I was working at Wisp. And all of a sudden I'm taller, I'm going really fast, I'm super aware that I could break every bone in my body. So I kind of lost all my confidence and I didn't have the technique to fall back on.
At this age, it's actually worse, but
Correct,
good for gaining confidence.
Right. So my goal a couple years ago was I wanted to like go out and ski and I wanted to learn the technique and kind of get my confidence back. So that's what I did. And I basically, Mike, you don't know this, I actually planned a trip to Alaska and I was still skiing blues. And Larry Smith actually can attest to this. I literally was in tears trying to go down Ace's Run at Wisp. The year that I went to Alaska and skied double blacks, I was in tears because I just had no confidence. Like, you need a good teacher, you need a good system. And I'm just so thankful. Your wife, Noelle and I went all the time. I went with Larry Smith, with Rachel Brook. Like, I found a lot of really good friends that helped me get my confidence back. And now I'm doing double blacks and I went out west and I'm probably going out west this spring. And it's really awesome. That's why skiing is so awesome.
Me those
I just texted Mike the photos. Picture it didn't happen. That is me on off the wall with moguls.
No, in fact, I love the form as you were approaching the moguls. I saw that. That's pretty cool.
Okay, good.
99% of it is exactly what you just said, is a good attitude. Be ready to fall. Be ready to laugh at yourself. Most importantly, be ready to get back up because you're going to fall.
Yeah.
And then confidence, too. Like, I remember that one time, it was with Lee Rayleigh. Jimmy, Lee, and I went out to Park City, and we were in Park City, and Lee had me hike up some bowl that was way above my skill level, and I kind of sat there and I froze, and I was like, man, I don't know what to do. And Lee just made fun of me for about 5 minutes, and I went and I did just fine. But I needed him to make fun of me for 5 minutes. And to his point too, he was like, what are you going to do? Walk back? And, but once I started going, I was fine. It was just get in your head. Whatever you were going through at the top of Ace's Run, that was nothing compared to what you went to out west. Right. And but the point is, by the time you got out west, you got over that fear. And I'm not going to say it's all the same. I'm taking some nasty spills. But it's the confidence level. You got to, and that's part of the thrill of it too. Like,
Totally.
Hopefully you don't get hurt too bad.
Right.
If I can inject this real quick, because I know we're coming up against the time you guys are probably going to want to wrap up. First of all, thanks for having me on here, but I'll just mention something to you real quick. This past week, we had a young girl from Latvia that was in our group that came and skied with us. She was 15 years old and had never skied before, ever. So my group pretty much assigned me to take her out for the very first time, and we learned some of the basics. And it was kind of cool because it reminded me, first of all, January happens to be the Learn to Ski and Snowboard month. So this is the month that you're going to introduce somebody to the sport of skiing. This is the month you want to try to do
right here, right in the studio.
A lot of skiers also will give him some sweetheart deals to get him out for the first time. It's like,
me and John are his sweethearts.
Next year, Mike will be here talking about doing backflips and.
But I was going to say real quick, skiing is not meant to be hard, and it's not meant to be, hey, I'm going to go do it because the rest of the group's doing it. It's meant to be doing it because you actually fall and you have a passion for it. This young girl from Latvia, her name was Vladi. And what was interesting was I was out just kind of coaching her through the first ropes. You do the stereotypical pizza and, you start getting her set up to side slide because we went down a couple of blues, which were very difficult for a brand new beginner. And, what I was trying to get my point across to, and I'll just share this with anybody that watches your podcast. If you're thinking about skiing, just pick up those very, very few basics. The pizza move, the side slide to get down a hill. Make sure you know how on a green, how to turn left and then also turn right. Also knock him down one time and make sure he knows how to get up and put his skis on, and that you have to turn your skis away from the mountain, from away from the hill. Once you learn those very basic skills, then the mountain actually becomes your playground, and until you get those skills, it's really not fun. I mean, it's kind of hard work, but once you have those skills, I mean, it really isn't. But once you get those skills, the mountain kind of becomes your playground. And what you start doing is what Kristen just talked about. She starts looking for, where can I go over a Volkswagen-sized mogul because I can, So that's what the mountain's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a playground. So when you're introducing people to the sport, make sure that their mindset right, and it's not out there. There's no fear. Just fall down. The snow's not that hard, And if you do fall down, you're going to slide 50 feet or so anyway. So it's not going to hurt you,
And there's no better feeling either. Like in snowboarding, the same thing. When you first started, I remember I'd learned how to leaf drop, and I was like, oh, yeah, this isn't all that much fun. And then all of a sudden you learn how to actually go back and forth and toe and heel, and you actually go down it. Then all of a sudden you feel like you're surfing, and you're like, this is amazing. And then you just keep going. And to that point, too, as long as you learn the basics, you're going to have fun. Learn the basics. It's not going to be fun the first day. You learn them. Then you have a great time. And just stay in control. Like the only time I've ever been actually hurt is if you get out of control.
Right.
Now, sometimes you push yourself too hard and do it on purpose, but that's part of the sport too.
Yeah, my top speed this past week was 48.7.
Oh my God.
How cool is that Garmin's track that these days? You used to have to guess. Now you actually know what
you
your
can do
top
that on
speed is.
GoPro, and you can also do it on an app. It's called Slopes.
I was just about to ask what app you use. So you use Slopes?
Use Slopes. It's better. There used to be another one I forget, but Slopes is the best.
Okay.
It'll tell you everything you want to know, all your stuff. And in fact, if you actually go, Kristen, on Ski Southeast, I'll try to post it there tomorrow. But there's a video skiing down upper and lower Thunderstruck. The Black Diamond.
Yeah.
And I've got all of the telemetry on that live video, so you can watch the skiers in front of me and me. But then you can also see all the telemetry where you're showing elevation drops, the slope angle,
that's so
and your
cool.
speed as you're going along.
Yeah, I mean, my speed's probably 20 miles an hour at the absolute cap. But
Well, it's not about speed, right? It's about
for
enjoying
me,
it.
I'm working on finding for all 10
Before
of
GPS,
our
you could lie.
listeners.
You could be like, hey, I was going 100.
Right, yeah, for all of our listeners, I'm working on finding my edge earlier. And completing my turn, so those are my skills this year.
My neighbor,
I can tell by your stance on these you just shared with me. You're pretty good. That's good.
Oh, well, thank you. It's my sister and a bunch of friends.
I talk about him sometimes, or actually quite a bit. But my neighbor has a son who's really athletic, great skier, and we'll go out sometimes. And I was on Squirrel Cage with him last year, and we wanted to race. And in my defense, I was on a snowboard and he was on skis. In his defense, I think he's 7. I'm not really sure how old he is. But my watch clocked it, and I don't think I was going 47, but I was around 40 or 42, and I thought I was flying. This little kid just bolted right past me. I have no idea how fast he was going, but now he didn't. I mean, I was in control and I was turning and I was riding like normal. He bombed down Squirrel Cage and I was going around 40. He had to be going 50. And it was, I was like, Noah, you win. I was like, I can't keep up,
bud. I had a kid with me that has only been skiing for 3 years. I've been skiing for 35 or 40. He topped 56.
Oh my gosh.
Same trail that I did 48.7. So
just think about when you're going down a car and it's going 47.
Appreciate you guys having me on, and it's awesome. Hopefully we can do it again. And if you don't mind, I'm going to give a quick plug.
100%.
Please plug yourself. No, we're not short on time. We can keep going.
Yeah, well, it's not plugging me as much. I've got a really good team.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do the snow report and do the writing on the weekends and holidays. I've got a good crew that does it, the other 5 days of the week. But Ski Southeast, for the snow report, we've posted something like 17,000 snow reports and stories over the years, and we've got tens of thousands of photos from every single resort. We post videos. Now we're pulling GoPro video. We've got cameras now and microphones. Now you're talking about going out and doing an interview or a groomer run. Now with the wireless mics and stuff that you can clip on, you can get them. You can go on YouTube and look them up. But you could be out on the slopes, and with just a decent, connection, internet connection, a decent bit of cellular, you can do your audio, you can do video and everything. So kind of a different time. When I first started it, I was begging skiers to send me photographs. Please send me photographs. Now, every single day, I mean, we're getting 1,500 or so photos a day.
Wow.
From skiers all over the region. So, but yeah, skisoutheast.com. We also have a message board on that website. It's up at the top link. There's a link there called Community. It's pretty vibrant. It used to be even more vibrant than what it is now. But there's a message board there where a lot of hardcore skiers are on there, a lot of snowboarders. You can also look at like lost ski areas, which is always very interesting. Be able to log on and see skiers that have long since been closed. That were around the state, around the Southeast Mid-Atlantic. And then, of course, resort cams. That's my baby.
Love it.
A long time ago. And we have hundreds of cameras now. We've got them in Cane Garden Bay, in British Columbia, Virgin Islands. We've got them.
Cool. It's so awesome.
Yeah, we've got them pretty much everywhere. But we do that. We also have, I'm not sure, it might be McHenrymdweather.com. It might be wispresortweather.com. But we do weather content on there too. And I know you're in the vacation rental industry. Check out highcountryvacations.com. We push a lot of vacation rentals on that website for all of the skiers because people are all the time questioning us, where can we stay? So thanks for that ability to plug, and appreciate being on your podcast, and maybe we can help grow your audience. I'll try to plug you a little bit. Make sure I get a bit of raw feed and we'll try to plug it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
We'll send it to you for sure. Thank you for promoting the industry. Thank you for helping get it out there. It's obviously something we love, and we're very glad people like you exist to help promote the sport. If you've got one more quick second, we always ask every guest this. Have you been to the local bar called the Honey Honey? Have you been to the Honey Honey before?
I have not.
I was afraid that was going to be your answer. And so we always ask our guests what the best story is. So you don't have one there. So next time you make it to Wisp, let us know. We'll watch Kristen go down Face, and Mike will meet us on the bunny trail on the other side.
Yes.
We'll all hit the Honey Honey, and the beer's on us.
The Honey Honey. I can't wait.
Honey Honey. You got to go after skiing.
Beers on us.